I actually would like to move on here because we had a very, very entertaining segment to end the night. John Laurinaitis, John Cena face off. Laurinaitis talks about how good he is and how John Cena is a loser. He says that he's going to prove that John Cena is a loser and that all of his fans are losers. So yeah, real great marketing here, John. He starts to continue, but then he gets interrupted by Cena's music, and at this point I'm like, it's about frickin' time. So then Cena comes out, and he makes a joke about desperation being a stinky cologne, and just jokes about him, and he rips into him for how he fired the Big Show and that kind of stuff, but then he talks about all the stuff that Laurinaitis has tried to do. He talks about he fired the Big Show. That's one win, sure, if you want to call that a win. But then WrestleMania, he won, his team won, so he would give him that, yeah, sure, that's one. And then the whole, you wanted to get rid of CM Punk as champion, but you failed at that, so you're 1 for 2. And then it was, you wanted to get rid of me, and that failed because I beat Lesnar, so you're 1 for 3. What was the other thing?
And you wanted, I think, me to quit. Me erased from the WWE.
Oh, no, what it was he brought Lesnar in, wanting him to be the next face of the WWE, and he quit. So he's 1 for 4.
It was Lesnar quitting. That's right, not Cena. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he was 1 for 4, and then he says, that doesn't sound like a winner to me. That sounds like a loser. And then John Cena becomes Ace Ventura, because now John Laurinaitis is a loser.
That whole shtick. I mean, I did get a good laugh from it.
Loser. That, know what, dude? I know it's childish, but that had me rolling. I was cracking up, and so were the other two guys in the call. I was in a call with Preston and Alex while we were watching this. We were all losing our minds laughing. This was hilarious.
And the funny thing
is, if you want to talk about how, this was so petty and immature, it's because you weren't watching to be entertained. You were watching to criticize. We watched to be entertained, and we were.
Right. See, my thing is, ultimately, I do think it may have been a little overdone for my taste, but what I really liked about this is it felt like old school Cena to me. I feel like ever since Extreme Rules, we've been seeing remnants of the Doctor of Thugonomics.
I don't even think that it's remnants or reminiscent or old school I feel like it's a new evolution in his character where he's not as uptight. He's not as, I will succeed, and if not, I will never quit. He's happy. He's enjoying himself. It's like you can tell he got divorced from his wife and that he was miserable for the last few months because he seems like he's in a better mood now. It's weird.
Yeah, it's so funny, actually, because what were we saying in a separate Skype call, a few days before
It's really simple. No good marriage ends in divorce.
Yeah, not only
Cena was in a marriage that he obviously wasn't happy with. There were reports online that he's been miserable for months, and if this is what it takes for him to kind of go back to being the fun, entertaining John Cena that we all know, love, and miss, so be it. Hey, I'm cool with it. If this is the level of entertaining that John Cena is going to be now that he's divorced, if that might not even have anything to do with it. From here on out, I won't even mention the divorce. From here on out, I'm cool with it because this had me LMAOing.
And me as well. I had a lot of fun with this, but what I was going to say wasn't even that point you made, no good marriage ends in divorce, although that's very true. What I was going to say that we said in our conversation was we were talking about Cena's game face. Game day comes, Monday Night Raw, this face-to-face confrontation. We're going to see...
Right, yeah, because we were talking about that, and then I said about how Brett Favre's father died, and then he went on to have the best Monday night football game of his life. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, Cena showed up tonight.
Definitely, and that's ultimately what I wanted to get at. Cena showed up. This was awesome. This was fantastic. Tore him to shreds. Go puck yourself. That line got me. I enjoyed
it's
that.
so funny because freaking Laurinaitis is like, I was going to make a reference to the Pittsburgh Penguins later on in my promo.
That was hilarious.
Really, dude? You want all these people to know that you had that planned for your promo, which I was under the impression was technically an insider term for wrestlers. screw you, John Laurinaitis. Now I don't even like you, and I was being entertained for you by a while. Or by you for a while.
It's like, I feel like that was like some genuine tension that should have been left for the back. I could just picture it. John, I just want to tell you, great job tonight, but you kind of stole my stuff. You know, I was going to talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins in my promo, and now I just kind of feel like you were ruining our build for Over the Limit. But no, it brings out in the middle of the ring.
And what I love is that when Cena was heckling him, like, okay, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? What are you going to say about the Penguins? And then he was like trying to get Laurinaitis to talk, and he would do the loser shtick, and then Laurinaitis just says losers. Cena's like, oh wow, so that's the big blow off, eh? And then he's like, well, I just so happen to know that a few Pittsburgh Penguins are in the crowd tonight, so now we make Laurinaitis look really dumb. And then he pulls up the puck, and hey, Laurinaitis, go puck yourself. And I was like, oh, Cena. As soon as he was reaching in his pocket, I was like, oh god, he has a prop.
Yeah, and it's funny because Cena worked this promo so well. Again, my only, and this is the definition of nitpick, I do feel like the loser bit went on just a little bit much for my taste, but everything else was gold. And even the beginning of the whole loser bit.
I feel like the repetitiveness of it almost is what made it funnier for me, because if he would have just left it off before, like, he did it like 20 times and then he let Laurinaitis speak, but if he would have just let it off there and not did it again, leading up to Laurinaitis saying, losers! It wouldn't have much of an effect.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. I just feel like Cena worked the crowd tremendously here, created a great atmosphere in this promo, which, you know, a lot of people give Cena a lot of flack, and, you know, even we do it when we feel it's justified. But I think the one thing that Cena is consistently great at is creating that atmosphere. Even if you don't like what he's saying, I feel like he creates that environment where, regardless of what he's saying, you're listening and you're invested.
When he speaks, you can feel that he is a main event guy. You just
yeah,
what he says when he says it sounds important. And I'm not trying to kiss up Cena, but I'm stating what I'm observing. And he has that charisma, though, and Punk has it too. And I will go as far as to say Randy Orton doesn't necessarily have it. And that's something that he can work on, and I think he can get it eventually. I would even go as far as to say a guy like Kane has it.
Definitely. No, definitely. Kane certainly has it.
Right. So it's just a certain element about the guy that makes it feel more important than it probably is. It's the main event. You know, you need to listen to what he's saying because everything he says might just so happen to change the landscape a little bit.
Getting later into this promo, you know, we see Laurinaitis finally gets the mic back. And I'm going to be honest, and I'll explain why in a second. This segment was also dangerously close, to being a legitimate heat of the night for me. If this was going where I thought it was going to go, but it went the complete opposite. What I mean by that is, Laurinaitis is getting ready to announce whatever the big thing is, and it has major implications for his match with John Cena at Over the Limit. We see he's getting into it, but Eve interrupts him, hands him a letter to the board of directors.
How good did Eve look tonight? Oh my goodness.
We call our librarian, and I'd like to check that book out. But anyway.
Eve Tessmacher. Forget Torres.
Yeah, Eve Tessmacher. Cena takes the letter away from Laurinaitis, pretty much says that there's going to be no special guest referees in their matches. Anybody interferes, they're immediately terminated. Anybody within the company that interferes, I think that's important to note. Any employee of the WWE tries to interfere, they will be immediately terminated. You can only win this matchup by a pinfall or submission. And Laurinaitis, if you lose, you will be immediately fired. Thank God, because honestly, now this is where I was potentially getting ready to just say heat of the night. I was so afraid that Laurinaitis is going to get on the microphone and actually put John Cena's job at risk, and why that would have made me irate and just legitimately angered me. I did, because I
don't know where you came up with that. I didn't see that at all.
I just, because I know Laurinaitis is determined to get Cena out of the picture, and I felt like he would have stacked the deck, and he would have mentioned Tenzai and a referee potentially and all that stuff, but I thought the cherry on top was going to be, and Cena, your career's on the line. I thought he would have been power drunk after firing Big Show, and the reason I would have been irate by that is because WWE's tried doing that before, and they never have the testicular fortitude to really drive it all the way, and I didn't want to go through that again.
Right.
So, thank God. Because I can take this. I think what this does, though, at least for me, is all but says that John Laurinaitis is beating John Cena. this Sunday at Over the Limit. But it's not going to make this match any less fun for me. Because Laurinaitis is going to get beat down at least a considerable bit before he pulls out the victory. And, Eon, I mean, do you want to put your official prediction forward? Because I liked your booking ideas and where you felt like everything connected.
The way I see it, the Big Show just got fired, so he is no longer a WWE employee. So if Johnny Ace wants to kind of put the hook out there and say, hey, Big Show, you're not technically employed, but nobody in security is going to stop you from getting into the ring. And if you ensure that I win on Sunday, I'll rehire you after the match on Monday. So, to me, that's if I'm Big Show, if I feel like it'll make me look bad, I don't care because I want my job back. So, yeah, I'm going to do it.
How much do you want to bet, though, the Big Show will do it? Because I do agree with you after saying that, because it would just interweave the storylines together perfectly. But how much do you want to bet that Laurinaitis, though, would be a dick and not, fulfill his word, because he's just that much of a villain? Honestly, I would like that, because I feel like too often we do see that they're like, okay, you did this because the guy is technically healed.
Well, dude, look at what he has Teddy Long doing. I think he would do that with Big Show. I think he would make Big Show basically his personal involuntary slave.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
he would hire Big Show back, but he would constantly hold his career over his head and say, basically, if you don't do everything I tell you to do, I can fire you again. No remorse. You've seen me do it before. There's nothing stopping me from doing it again.
Actually, that's even better than just dicking him over after he gets what he wants from Big Show. I like that.
That would really lead towards the big payoff, that being Laurinaitis having his power stripped and Big Show's career finally being back in not jeopardy.
Right. No, that's a really good idea, Ashton. I like that, because I feel like, again, like you said, you get a greater payoff. You're building it up, and Big Show would make.
And you know what, dude? One thing I do want to say, I kind of think it sucks that, and now this is me just speculating, this isn't concrete. I think it sucks that the WWE is probably going to hand that big payoff that I was referring to as far as the Laurinaitis having his power strip thing to John Cena. Because to me, the guy that deserves that payoff is CM Punk.
Yes.
Because CM Punk is the guy that is supposed to be your company's rebel. He's the guy that is supposed to be the anti-establishment, and he was the first guy that feuded with Johnny Ace. When Johnny Ace became an on-screen character, the first guy to feud with him was CM Punk. And really, Punk is the reason that Laurinaitis wanted power as far as GM power in the first place, because he wanted to do everything in his power to get that WWE title off of him. He wanted to be able to book him in impossible matches. He wanted to stack the odds against CM Punk. And now all of a sudden they're going to hand that level of payoff where you are stripping the ultimate villain in the company of his power to John Cena. I feel like John Cena doesn't need it. John Cena is at that level already. He doesn't need it. Give that payoff to CM Punk.
And I feel like, you know what, though? I'm going to put faith in WWE and say that they realize everything that you're saying, because I bet my house that, John Laurinaitis is beating John Cena this Sunday. I think you're pretty much in the same boat as me, with all these stipulations put forward. Let me put it to you like this. I mean, there have been times when I thought that Cena wasn't going to pull it out, and I was genuinely shocked that he did. If Cena pulls this one out, I will be beyond floored.
Why?
Because I just feel like everything is set in motion. No special guest referee, standard rules apply, all those things, and because Big Show...
So what you're basically saying is that you are so 100% convinced that the WWE is going to swerve us that you cannot possibly believe that they're just going to have a straight up Laurinaitis abides by all these rules, no interference, no special guest referee, Cena beats him down, and we get the payoff this early.
Yeah, I mean, as bad as that may make me sound, as ignorant as that may make me sound, I can't believe it. If Cena would win, I mean, I would digest it. I'm not even saying, and let me just separate my words here, I'm not even saying that it would anger me. I would just be in such a state of shock. I'm like, wow, you're just going to dispose of your top villain just like that. And maybe
what's really sad, John, is that ultimately, if the Big Show does end up costing Cena the match and saving Laurinaitis for his job back, that should be the swerve. That should be the, oh my god, shocking
thing. And that's what I think will be the swerve, though. That's what I think.
Right, but I'm saying that's what should be what shocks you, not Cena winning clean.
Yeah, but see, that wouldn't. Maybe we've just gotten too good at calling this, because you put in that point, it makes perfect sense. Guy loses his job, and in the same night, it's a specific rule that anybody within the company interferes, they're immediately terminated. 2 + 2 = 4.
Right.
You know, there you go. So, and to me, again, maybe it's because I'm just so pro-Punk.
You know what, dude? I guess this is one of those cases where sometimes the best swerve is no swerve at all.
Yeah, maybe, dude. Maybe.
I can't imagine we're the only people that are expecting this. I'm sure some people are thinking, oh, Brock Lesnar he quit, so he's not with the company anymore, he's going to help. But I highly doubt that. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying I doubt it, because that would be a huge waste of his appearance when they can use Big Show.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The only reason I'm not saying Lesnar like other people, because I have seen other people say Lesnar. Over the Limit, to me, is a throwaway pay-per-view. I mean, not that it's not going to be a great pay-per-view. I mean,
no, dude, I absolutely agree with you. Over the Limit, I almost feel like Over the Limit is already overrated for the simple fact that because Punk Bryan is on that pay-per-view, everyone is talking about how it's going to be another Extreme Rules where it has this amazing top-to-bottom card. It really isn't. It has Punk Jericho. The world title match is a throwaway match. We're not getting an Intercontinental title match unless Cody Rhodes gets a new opponent named on Friday, because Big Show is not in the company anymore. We're getting a Divas match, which should be decent. I'm out.
Yeah.
John
the tag title match
Ace versus John Cena, really, that's it. And the tag match, yeah. So that's, 4 or 5 announced matches, one of which is actually worth paying for, in my opinion.
So, yeah, definitely. Big Show makes a run-in, saves Johnny Ace's job, thus securing his own once again, and Cena couldn't rise above Big Johnny on this night, which I think hopefully will come down to just Punk just saying, you know what, Johnny, I'm sick and tired of your crap. I'm going to do what John Cena couldn't do. I am going to finish you, and we finally bring this full circle. Because I feel like, Laurinaitis and Punk only have a semicircle right now. I'm looking for this to come all the way around. So we'll see what happens.
I hate to say it, John, but I highly doubt they're going to tie up that end, because I don't think they see it as being a loose end anymore. I think that they see it as John Laurinaitis versus CM Punk ended at the Royal Rumble when Punk retained versus Dolph Ziggler, because the hero won, the villain failed, and then Johnny moved on to the next target, basically.
But I still feel like, and though I agree with you, because, Laurinaitis being enforcer and whatnot, but I still feel like there are residual things.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I said it earlier. I think that if anyone makes the most sense to end John Laurinaitis' reign of terror on the WWE, CM Punk is the guy. But at this point, if you think back, Money in the Bank 2011, who's the guy that punched Laurinaitis to prevent him from creating another screw job?
Cena.
So, I mean, if you want to talk about coming full circle, yeah, I get it. WWE wants that to come full circle. Fine, whatever. I don't like it because I don't feel like Cena needs it, but maybe the WWE doesn't see it as, oh, Cena needs this, as much as, oh, this is what makes the most sense to us. So I'm not really going to criticize. I personally think that my idea is better, but WWE knows what they're doing. Yeah.
And you know what, the one positive, especially for any big-time Cena hater out there, which I'm not, but even if they do give it to Cena, it just keeps him out of the title picture even longer. And, it just allows new guys to rise and do their thing. Honestly, thanks to John Cena being out of the title picture, we see a guy like Daniel Bryan getting such a big moment, even though it's not on a significant.
And you know what, dude? Before we move on to a next segment on the podcast here, I do want to point out how great this crowd was. This crowd was so hot for Daniel Bryan, and they were even hot for Cena. When Cena came out, I didn't hear a single boo in the building when he came out.
It's been terrific, and I feel like that's almost becoming a trend for Cena. I feel like he's starting to gain his audience back. He's starting to be, it's funny because he is the guy in the company, and I feel like, the crowd reaction is starting to be, on par with that status.
I guess when you go from The Rock to John Laurinaitis, you're bound to get more people on your side. Definitely.
It's all in the antagonist. All in the antagonist.
It really is. And I don't think enough people appreciate that fact.
No. Hey, it's like I've said, the hero is only as good as their villain. Cena's looking like a damn good hero when he goes up against a scumbag like Laurinaitis.
Right. So and there were still people cheering for the other guy when the other guy was Brock Lesnar because he's frickin' Brock Lesnar. Just because just because he was standing for UFC and Cena was standing for wrestling doesn't necessarily mean that everyone in the audience prefers wrestling over UFC.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
So yeah, Laurinaitis stands for everything bad. So yeah, if you're going to cheer one of them, you're obviously going to pick Cena. I don't see anyone having anything positive to say about Laurinaitis, really. I don't, other than the fact that he's so bad it's entertaining, but that's not really a good reason to cheer him. So Laurinaitis gets the slap on Cena because Cena's kind of egging him on, what's this big announcement? What's the big announcement? Come on, Johnny, tell me what it is. What is it? Laurinaitis gets the slap, and then he just walks out. And that's it. That's how we end Raw. That's it.
Do you think there is still going to be a big announcement, or do you feel like his big announcement got foiled by the board of directors because then his power's been restricted?
I think that one of two things is going to happen. Either one, his big announcement was going to be, a special guest referee or a stipulation or something like that got foiled by the paper that you brought out. Or two, we're going to get an announcement next Monday. And it's going to be from him because he will have won the match.
Right.
So it's one of those two things. If it's the first thing, I'm not saying he's going to win the match for sure, but if it's the second thing, obviously, it kind of writes itself.